Hi everyone, you're listening to the Viet Dating Podcast, where we talk dating, relationships, and travel here in Vietnam. And I'm your host, Gary. Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited to launch our YouTube channel and broadcast our first podcast episode. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about should you date a Vietnamese girl? And I have a very special guest here with me today called Mike. So, Mike, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Mike, and I guess I'm the guest for this podcast today. What's going on, Gary?
Not too much. How is everything in Vietnam for you right now?
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah. So why don't you tell our viewers why did you decide on Vietnam, and tell us a bit about your dating experience with the local Vietnamese girls.
Yeah, so I was looking at places to go a few years ago, and Southeast Asia was my first choice, and I went through the process of narrowing down which countries to choose, and I stumbled upon Vietnam. I just liked what I read about it, about the culture, the women, the food. It seemed to resonate with me, so I booked a flight, and I think I booked a flight summer 2015. And I pulled bits and pieces of information off of many internet forums like Roosh and Naughty Nomad, etc. And it turned out to be a fantastic trip. So I definitely decided that I wanted to live here in the future.
Yeah, it sounds like you're having a pretty good time right now. What about the Vietnamese girls though? How are you finding the dating culture like here for you?
It's a so-so.
Just so, not like great,
What?
fantastic, or like horrible.
Yeah, well, I'm getting tons and tons of dates, and these
Mm,
dates, a lot of them are converting into relationships and
mhm.
sex and things like that. And but sometimes they're the downsides as well.
Yeah, what are some of the downsides?
You have to be careful not to fall into certain pitfalls and go for like really bad girls that are obviously prostitutes or hookers or
Mhm.
time wasters. You have to moderate the difference between highly conservative women and very loose women and find that balance that's more compatible with your personality and your needs and goals.
Yeah. I'm finding I'm having a bit of an issue with screening here. It's not like clear black and white like when you're dating a girl in the West, right? A lot of girls they put up this front that they have like a goody two shoe type of personality, right? And then later on, you find out like she works she moonlights as like a hooker or something in the evening or something like that.
Yeah. I've read a shit ton of stories on the expat forum and on YouTube and
Hmm.
all these other places about guys who just don't do their due
Hmm.
diligence and end up in the vice grip of some unscrupulous woman. And proper screening is definitely a safeguard for that.
Hmm. What would you just say is like the typical personality of a Vietnamese girl? Do you find them to be shy, confident, meek, or bossy, or some combination of that?
When you first meet a Vietnamese girl, they're gonna be shy and quite reserved, and sometimes if depending on my mood or whatever, I might not be having that because I kind of prefer like bubbly chicks as well. But
Hmm.
within an hour of conversation, or if they're drinking or whatever, or depending on how the progression of the day, then they definitely open up, and they're quite respectful. um once you do get into a relationship with them, yeah, I can see some strong-willed personality traits. I'm not sure if I would call that bossy or not,
Hmm.
or not, but there are many different types of girls here, dude. So you find sweet girls
Hmm.
and bossy girls and bad girls and good girls. But yeah, overall, I would say like the average girl here is maybe really independent and shy at first, but she opens up later on.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a similar experience. Like the typical average Vietnamese girl that you meet outside, she will start off being quite shy, especially if you're like a foreigner, right? And if her English is not that good, she'll tend to be more on the shyer side. But then as you get to know her more and more, she'll tend to open up more and more. And occasionally you may come across some more confident Vietnamese girls, but I find those tend to be more of like the more westernized ones.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually like these the confident ones
Hmm.
that as soon as you meet them at the mall or wherever you're picking them up from, they're like, "Hey, Mike, how's it going?" And they're hugging you and um, they're chatting you up
Hmm.
immediately, and that's always great because if you're nervous before the date, then that definitely puts you at ease.
Yeah, with shy girls, I find like they require a lot more work initially, right in the beginning, because you got to work on bringing out their shyness, right, making them more feel more comfortable, more confident in your interactions with you. So it's definitely requires a bit more work and energy that you got to inject into the girls. But I think after you've been dating them for a while, it's much easier to maintain though.
So.
So
Um,
so really.
yeah, it's the
Mm,
maintenance part
yeah, yeah.
is quite high actually.
Mm,
I
mhm.
will have to
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like for me, I find neediness and clinginess is a bit higher compared to Western girls. Like I know for me personally, like one of the girls I'm seeing right now, like she has to text me every day, like ask you, "What are you doing? I'm home." Right? It seems like it's a normal type of thing over here in Vietnam with the locals, where they like to text every day, and if you don't do it, they may feel that you're not investing enough into the relationship, that perhaps maybe you don't care about them enough.
Yeah, I actually do. I get texts a lot, and they're actually quite annoying sometimes, especially if I'm multitasking or getting work done, and I
Mhm.
see like my WhatsApp notifications blowing up, and I'm like, "Oh crap, it's an emergency." Then I check the messages, and it's like, "Oh, what are you doing? How are you?" I'm like, "You sent me that text 20 minutes ago. Are you working?" I find that the girls actually need a lot of reassurance here.
Mhm, yeah,
Especially
definitely.
if you're gonna play around and do all this isn't really the place to play around, but if you're gonna do it anyway, you got to reassure the girls that you're still serious and you're not going to hurt them, and it's taxing. So I don't really
Mm.
recommend overextending yourself.
Yeah, Vietnam, I find that the dating culture, it's not really like a one night stand type of culture, right? It's more like a relationship type of dating culture. So if you're dating a girl, she expects things to become more serious as you progress in the relationship, that maybe that eventually leads into like marriage or something like that, right? It's not like if I'm dating in the West, or aren't we don't have the same sort of expectations. We can just have a little fun, a casual fling for the evening or something like that. It doesn't work that way here in Vietnam. Most girls that you date here, or they expect some sort of relationship to come out of the date.
Yeah, they do, man, and it's especially if you want to play around and just have fun.
Mhm.
um the girl, like, dude, I've been on dates where I we arrive at the coffee shop and I'm like, "Hey, how's your day been?" And we haven't even like gotten the menu yet, and she tells me, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for a serious relationship," and I'm like, "What the hell? We just got here." But I can understand. It's a more conservative society, but
Mm.
and that's fine. But you're trying to get yours first, right? Before you
Yeah,
commit
yeah,
serious.
yeah. You don't really know whether or not you're compatible with the girl, right? Sometimes like you need a bit more time, but girls here sometimes they're just trying to lock you down after like the first date or something like that, right? They're telling you, "Oh, I miss you today. Are we boyfriend girlfriend right now?" This is like after like the first or second date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I'm finding it's quite common over here. And what would you say about like one night stand culture here? Like, do you find a lot of girls they put out really quickly on the first date, or do you got to do like the whole like 3 or 4 date thingy before they give it up?
This is a really complicated question, dude. And you and I, we've talked about this offline, right? So
Yeah.
it's a mix of both. But I would say if you're just looking to come here and like play around. I really wouldn't recommend it. I think you probably should just get like a serious girlfriend or something and date around and just find someone compatible. However, there are definitely a lot of loose women peppered around the city that absolutely put out on the first date. But it's a headache with worrying about STDs and the drama that comes with that and juggling, and then they also get clingy as well. And a lot of these girls put out with hopes that you guys are gonna be together and that as well. So I wouldn't say that if a girl puts out, she's just easy and liberal. Like a lot of these girls are setting up a mousetrap. And, they definitely know what they're doing there.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah. The girls have serious game down here.
yeah, I mean, most of the hookup culture, based on my observation, is around like the backpacker area. I don't know. It seems like women, like the loose women, are drawn to that area for some reason.
Yeah.
And I remember on my first trip, like virtually every girl would want to meet me by my accommodation, and they'd want to like come upstairs and do this and do that. And I thought these were good girls at first, but then I realized later on that they definitely weren't. So
No,
they were.
they're checking out your financial status. They're screening you, my friend. They're trying to see whether or not you're well off, what type of neighborhood you live in, like things like that.
Right. And as someone on vacation, yeah, you can definitely rack up notches. And I think it's from like the same group of girls that are just targeting tourists and, guys on vacation. But if you're here long term, I wouldn't really bother with that. You're gonna find, a mix of like the good girls and the loose women as well. So it's complicated. I feel like there needs to be a separate podcast on this to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah. We can definitely do a separate podcast in the future to go into more detail about this, about how to screen the girls and the types of girls you'll end up seeing and meeting here. There's like a big variety of girls. It's not like so clear cut like in the West. You have like your typical normal average chick, your prude, or then your slut. No, there's a lot of gray areas here in Vietnam when you start dating a lot of the women. Some girls, they can appear to be like really sweet and nice with you, but then be like a total bitch with some other foreign guy, right? Or she can go out on a date with you, act like a completely normal girl, but then if she's meeting some other guy who's rich or old, it may be purely transactional. There's all these sort of little nuances that happen here. So let's talk about the physical characteristics of a typical Vietnamese girl. How would you describe their look to our listeners?
Um, I've seen a lot of looks here, and I've lived in another place in Southeast Asia that I don't know. It's well, hold on. For my impression from living in the U.S. is that Vietnamese girls are the tall, have really light skin, jet black hair, some curves. But when I came here, I found that there's a lot of variety. Actually, there's women who are like 153 centimeters and women who are quite tall, women with light skin, women with more Cambodian type features,
Hmm.
that are, tanned skin and on the shorter side. But I would say the average Vietnamese girl probably, compared to the like Thailand and Philippines, Indonesia, etc., probably has much lighter skin and jet black hair. They're more well proportioned, so you get a lot of ass and tits.
Yeah.
I do see a lot of girls that look quite Chinese here, but that's not how I would describe their look. I would say it's like a mix of East Asian and Southeast Asian, kind of like a nice blend that's just right.
Mm. Yeah, I think the further south you go, the more of the Southeast Asian look you'll get. But the more north of Vietnam you go, you get more of the East Asian look, right? The girls, they tend to be a little bit taller. They tend to have more fair skin, more of an East Asian type of look to them. Like they just look more Chinese, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
In fact, whenever I do see like Chinese locals or transplants here, it's very difficult to distinguish them between like the local Vietnamese. So I have a girl that I'm seeing right now that's looks quite Chinese actually. So, and she even pointed that out. But she's got no direct ancestry. I think I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, there is a quite a large Chinese population that lives here in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, where we're based at right now. In District 5 and 6, and District, I believe it's 10 and 11. There's quite a bit of Chinese. I think believe it's around 1 million Chinese that live in that area. So I do think there is a bit of mixing going on as well. So it wouldn't surprise me. The average Vietnamese girl, though, from my experience, they tend to be a bit on the shorter side,
Yeah.
especially coming from North America. Like the average chick, I think for me, I find is around 5'1", maybe 5'2". You won't see too many tall girls, too many tall Vietnamese girls. Most of the tall Vietnamese girls that you do see in Vietnam, they tend to work as like promotion girls or models here, because and they're actually quite in demand. A lot of the local men, they prefer tall girls, but not like super tall, not like 5'11" or anything like that. They want something around like 5'5", 5'6", maybe 5'7". Those are the typical range that you'll see like the average model here in Vietnam.
What is 160? What is that?
160 is 5'3".
Okay.
Yeah, 5'3".
I think 5'3" is tall for here for Vietnam or for Saigon.
I think I'd say it's about average. I think the average height in Vietnam is around 5'2". I think 158 centimeters. So five
Yeah.
five three would be slightly above average. Yeah, there aren't too many tall chicks, unfortunately. I actually prefer more girls that are a bit taller, maybe like 5'6", 5'7". But I haven't had too much opportunity to run into them. The average girl I meet is been on the shorter side.
I just wanted to say that I have no preference on whether they're tall or short.
Mm.
I do prefer the more petite type of frame, but that's really about it.
Yeah, I do like their body shape though. Like I find they are a bit curvy, which is surprising coming from North America, where the average Asian girl that I see has like a flat butt and flat chest. But over here, like they're quite well proportioned, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised about that because the Vietnamese girls that I knew in the U.S. also had a similar body type, and they take good care of themselves and all this and that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
but compared to like other Asian ethnic groups, that's definitely not the case.
yeah. I find with Chinese that seems to be the case. A
Yeah.
lot of Chinese girls that I've met abroad, they just did not have really nice bodies, fortunately. So let's talk about femininity and more like the dating culture here in Vietnam. Do you find the women to be very feminine, or are they more like independent? I don't need a man. I can do anything myself. If you can do it, I can do it type of attitude.
I get a good mix of these. I get like girls that are really feminine, and I like those girls a lot. But I also get girls that are kind of like independent, but not overbearing like the brand you find in North America. Well, the kind of girls that I target are going to be more of the independent type. And there's this one girl I'm thinking of in particular. We're talking, and I was just trying to get her out for another date or whatever. And I say, "Oh, it's I forget what it was that I sent her. Shit, I think it was why is there like a women's day, not a men's day? Just something very lighthearted."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, every day is men's day, blah blah." She just went on this huge rant, and I was just teasing her about how she got all bent out of shape about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you get things like that here. But as far as like feminine, yeah, the women I've had like the women are quite respectful here. I've had almost zero issues with women just being like outright rude to you or disrespectful or
Really? I've had a few bad cases with a few girls. It's like it's a small percentage, maybe like 5% or less, but
yeah,
it has happened.
yeah, for
It,
sure. I agree.
yeah,
It's also happened to me as well.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean the women take good care of themselves. Like very few fat ones here, and they do cook and they do help clean your apartment when they can. They treat men well in general, I'd say.
Yeah, like I think I've seen maybe like five fat chicks my whole time here in Vietnam. Like they are a big rarity. You'll probably win the lottery before you see a fat chick over here in Vietnam. Like the women, they really know how to take good care of themselves over here.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
there have been a few fat girls, and we've talked about that in exchange pictures, and
yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like a rare sighting,
Yeah, they typically you'll typically see like fat girls in Vietnam like online on online dating websites. But if you were to walk outside on the street, like on your local street, you probably won't come into a fat girl. You may run into like a chubby girl, but not necessarily like a fat girl or anything like that. She'll probably be like 130 or something, 130 pounds or 140 pounds or something like that. Not like 200, 300 pounds or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no land whales here, dude.
No, 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 no. The guys don't like to go dumpster diving here.
Yeah. The only fat chicks here you see are like the tourists, the
Yeah,
tourists.
yeah, the Western girls that you see down on District 1 or District 2 or down in Bui Vien Street. Yeah, but yeah, I do find the woman to be quite feminine. Like if you've never dated a girl outside of like a Western country before, you will be completely blown out of your mind once you start dating a truly feminine girl, whether she be from Vietnam or somewhere in South America or Eastern Europe. There is just something about a woman that really attracts a man when she acts like a woman. You know, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like her behavior, her whole demeanor, how she dresses, how she treats the guy, all that stuff. I just find it really sexy versus a girl that's like tries to act all masculine. You know, the way she dresses. It's like a t-shirt and sweatpants. Her attitude, everything. It's just like a huge turnoff.
Yeah, I agree. That's the same vibe I got when I first landed here in 2015, and I immediately felt like, wow, I really want to put in a little bit of effort and get a cute girlfriend, and the women really encourage you to put in the work and put in the effort, and I do appreciate that.
I mean, I think for me personally, like once I've dated a feminine, like a truly feminine, I don't think I could ever date another woman from the West again. Like with that masculine energy, it's just not the same. Like the whole sexual polarity over in the West is like way off.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for the average guy, it's off. I mean, when I was in college
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
and I was still kind of okay when I was in college because I was young and whatnot. But it's changing rapidly now, and women in college they're doing the sugar dating type of deal where they only want to use their feminine wiles to get money and
Sugar
things like
daddy game, seeking arrangement, sugar daddy game.
that. Yeah, Instagram whoring, all this stuff. Like the
Yeah.
average college guy does not stand a chance these days. With all this new technology coming about, unless they're really lucky or they can wield um, the similar kind of influence that a lot of these players and you know
Yeah, you got to be like the top 1% like guy in like
yeah,
in the
it's
West
quite it's quite
to take like the top 50 or 40% of girls or something like that. It's completely whacked.
yeah, it's crazy. Fuck that place.
Let's talk about what about dating in the West? How would you compare it to dating in Vietnam? Like when you go on dates with a Vietnamese girl, does she expect you to foot the bill, or is she gonna offer to pay half of it, or is she gonna do the fake, like fake purse grab and then taking her time, like hoping you would just pay for it before she opens her wallet type of deal?
Yeah, so most girls here, and this came as a shock for me, like coming back the second time around. The most girls here will pay for you actually, or will split the bill with you, and they will adamantly refuse a lot of the time, and I just let them. I don't even care. And that's quite
Mhm.
nice. Usually in the U.S. or wherever, you have to kind of just not do anything too expensive because you're probably going to be the one footing
Yeah,
the bill.
yeah. It's kind of funny because in the women in the West, when you date, they spill all this. Oh, I'm independent. You don't have to pay for me. What you can do, I can do. But then when you go on a date with a girl, oftentimes she won't even make the attempt to pay for herself. in the most cases I've went on dates, they let you pay for it, or they pretend to take out their wallet slowly, like their purses slowly. Then they're just waiting for you, like looking at you awkwardly and just waiting for you to like just pay for it. And then usually I just pay for it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I come here on dates and I'm dating a girl in Vietnam, about half of the time, like on the first date, the girl will offer to pay for herself, or she'll like pay for like some of the things. Like let's say, for example, if I'm paying for drinks, when it comes time for to see a movie or for dinner, she will offer to pay for that instead of letting me pay for it. It's a bit interesting and funny because when you think about it, the average salary in Vietnam is probably like what, like 300 US dollars or something like that. Like these people, they are not making a lot of money yet. Girls, they're paying for their own stuff, or they're actually treating the guy, versus in the West where girls are making probably like 5-6 times as much as the girls here in Vietnam, and yet they can't afford to pay for themselves.
Yeah, that's very uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like a lot of these girls that do want to pay for you in Vietnam have like quite a bit of money to spend, and that's just the vibe I get sometimes. Because I remember one time, I think this was around, was this New Year's or Tet? I think it was New Year's. This girl, we went to Bitexco and we got something to eat, and before I could even pull out money, she'd already paid, and she paid for everything that night. And I'm like, yeah, you need to stop doing this. And then we spent the night together, and then the next day, I think she also like paid for barbecue too, and it's just like you spent
Yeah,
like
she's probably loaded or something.
1.5 million. Like, what the hell? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, she's probably loaded. She didn't even bat an eyelash, did she? When she paid for all this stuff.
Nah, she didn't
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, she probably comes off from a well off family.
And what I do in that sort of scenario is I like to do like I like to just get something on my own and just pay for it, so it doesn't seem
Mhm.
like she's just paying for everything,
Yeah. Oh, it's perfectly. I think initially when you're dating a girl, if she's willing to make that sort of investment, it shows you that she's willing to like invest into the relationship rather than just leech off of you. You know, like there are some girls here in Vietnam when you date them, they don't pay for anything. Like they don't even lift a finger. I've gone on dates with girls where like they expect the guy to pay for everything.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
kind of girls are these?
I would probably classify them more on the end of like gold digger type of girls, you know, like foreign hunters type of girls. And these type of girls, usually, from what I find, they tend to speak better English than your average Vietnamese girl.
Right, right. Yeah, but those girls are like super hot though, so maybe it might be
Not
worth.
necessarily. I've gone out with some average looking girls like those too. Being pretty is not a prerequisite for being a gold digger, unfortunately. Like, there are some pretty average looking girls that just gold dig off of guys.
Hmm.
Some of the hottest girls aren't necessarily like gold diggers. They're actually some of the really pretty girls that you see around. They're actually quite loaded. Actually, they come from like really well off families. But the average guy won't have access to her. She has like a close niche, exclusive social circle, and you would probably have to be at her level or better than her in order to have access to these types of girls.
Yeah, I noticed that when I came here too, that even though I'm batting higher than what I did in the US, I'm still kind of getting girls maybe at my level or slightly above, like a little bit above. Can you dispel the myth about, you know, you can't just come here and then immediately start dating the hottest girls?
No, that doesn't happen. I don't think that happens in most countries in the world, right? I mean, obviously, if you're coming here as a foreigner, what's going to happen is the girls that show you interest are going to be the foreign hunters, right? The foreign chasers. These are the girls that have a thing for foreign guys. In the majority of cases, what I find is Vietnamese girls, they date locals. They don't run off with foreign guys, especially the hotter the Vietnamese girl is, she tends to date local Vietnamese guys, especially rich Vietnamese guys. Those guys, I'd say, probably nab like probably like 9 out of 10 hot girls in Vietnam here. Money seems to be of more importance than actually than just just nabbing a foreign guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that even in the U.S., I find that most Vietnamese girls also date Vietnamese guys, like even the younger generation. So that's a testament to national pride and close
Mm,
ties to home and whatnot. So like
mm, mm.
coming here, I don't think would be you would be getting like supermodels. You
I,
know.
I never I didn't have that. I had the opposite experience over in North America. A lot of the Asian girls I ran into, with the exception of fobs, they were actually they're really self-hating. They had like no dating Asian guys policies and stuff like that. They only went for like white guys. So it's interesting to hear you say that about the Vietnamese girls over in the U.S. because that was not my experience at all.
Well, occasionally you'll find a Vietnamese girl that'll date out, but it usually doesn't last very long, and I don't really see various. Actually, you know what? I was looking at this one girl's Facebook the other day. I was doing some Facebook stalking, and it was a Vietnamese girl that used to date like just all like Vietnamese guys, and but she got married to this one Indian guy. So, I guess it does. It happens.
Okay, we're gonna wrap things up here. We're running kind of out of time. Do you have anything else to add to the podcast?
Has it really been 50 minutes already, dude?
It's like we're at 30 plus minutes now. Like time just went by so fast.
All right, great. Nothing really to
Yeah,
add, but this is just like a
yeah.
kind of like
Do you think foreign guys should come to Vietnam and they should go get themselves a Vietnamese girlfriend?
um yeah, I do recommend it, but at the same time it really just depends on where you are in life and what your goals are. Um I notice a lot of guys do come here to make a little bit of money and do a gap year type situation where they do want to teach English for like a year and then have like a gap year girlfriend and do all that, and that's fine, but a lot of guys also want to come here long term and find a suitable partner. So there's something here for everyone, I think, but you should follow the advice in this guide and try to find what the best fit and situation is for
Mm.
you.
Yeah. Do you think guys should be realistic with their expectations about what types of girls they're going to be able to get? Because I know there's a lot of crap going on the web. I've been reading about where you have these foreign guys, they touch down in Vietnam and then they're claiming how they're banging and sleeping with models and celebrities and all that crap.
Yeah, this is a whole another podcast on its
Yeah.
own, dude. But yeah, man, I mean, I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
keep reading like guys pulling like sixes and sevens, the high numbers, and betting girls like crazy, and I'm like, what do these guys look
Yeah.
like? Are they rich? Like, who the fuck are they? Like,
Like,
really?
yeah, I've not seen any of them produce any evidence whatsoever to show proof. The average foreigner that I see in Vietnam here, on a typical day when I'm on the street, is not with like some model or whatever. He's usually with a Vietnamese girl that is has darker skin than what a typical Vietnamese girl you see, and she tends to be single eyelids. She has single eyelids, smaller eyes, darker, maybe shorter, maybe average height, or maybe taller. And she's usually average, about average looking. If the guy is really good looking, if he has some sort of game, maybe he may be able to date a above average chick. But on average, I find the girls are not very attractive.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and echo the same
Yeah,
sentiments, dude. And I'm quite observant as
yeah,
well. And when I see foreigners walking around with their girlfriends or wives, they're about the same as them, or
yeah,
average, maybe a little bit above, depending on if they're.
yeah,
Dude, I've even seen like these so-called good-looking Nordic, Scandinavian type guys.
yeah.
They really not
Yeah,
that great
they're
looking girls.
dating down. They are not dating like the cream of the crop here, despite all these claims online from guys
Y-
saying they're dating all these models.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's a huge portion of guys that I just see around that are just not with any girls at all. And I think this really, we really need to discuss this because I
Yeah,
was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, okay, they could just be like doing the Playboy thing, which I doubt. That takes a lot of energy and a lot of
yeah,
time. They could just not be getting laid or or have a girlfriend or just busy with work, or 3, they're just backpackers on vacation or whatnot. So I just have no idea, or they.
Yeah. And you'll find that different foreign guys tend to attract different qualities of girls as well, right? So like some white guy from the U.S. will be dating a different type of Vietnamese girl versus a foreigner, some Korean guy or some Japanese guy, right? That's coming to do business here in Vietnam.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
quality is.
It's not quite as clear cut, but this is something we'll discuss in a later podcast episode for you guys. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap things up for this podcast. Thanks, Mike, for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And guys, don't forget to check out my website. I posted a link to an article to discuss this in more detail. Just check down and click on the description down below for the link to the article. And thanks everyone for listening in today. Bye now.
Take it easy, guys.